It's okay. I'll learn to live without it.
Hello and welcome to Intoxicated Masculinity. If it's Wednesday, we have a cocktail video coming at you. Today we're going to go back to sort of the bitter end of things with Brad Thomas Parsons' Amaro. I talked about this book in my cocktail tier ranking. It's one that I go back to a lot. So this book focuses a little bit on, it focuses a lot obviously on Amaros and tells you about different Amaros that you can use. But the cocktail section of the book is obviously kind of where I focus on a little bit. And they do have a lot of classic cocktails in there, but I think that the larger section of the cocktail section of the book is talking more about sort of new cocktails, which is what we're going to do today. I was talking to my friend Brandon, who also hosts some of the discussion videos we've done on the channel, and one of his favorite Amaros is Cynar. So today and next week we're actually going to use Cynar in our cocktail. So the cocktail we're going to focus on today is the Eeyore's Requiem. It was created by Toby Maloney at Patterson House in Nashville, Tennessee. He said he named it that because it was the most bitter cartoon character they could think of. Once you see the ingredients of the cocktail, you will definitely see that. So one of the things I wanted to mention before we actually put this cocktail together, we kind of talked about the limited history of the cocktail, is there are some cocktails that I like to, before I film, I like to kind of work on a little bit and kind of play with and see what I come up with. This is a cocktail that's sort of based on the ingredients. I really want to just taste this sort of completely cold. It's also chilled. And so I have not had this cocktail before. And I am very interested to see how it comes out. It has a significant amount of very bitter ingredients, and I think that we should stop talking about it and start drinking it. Okay, we're back and we have our ingredients. So this cocktail is going to be sort of like a Negroni made by an insane person. So with that in mind, we are going to start off with our Campari as our base spirit, which I don't know if some people are going to cringe at that a little bit. And we are going to go ahead and add 1.5 ounces of Campari into our mixing glass. Now, the next ingredient is actually Blanc Vermouth, which I don't have, so we are going to just go ahead and use dry Vermouth. I think with all these bitter ingredients, honestly, switching this out, I don't think it's going to affect the drink significantly. So we're going to toss in 1 ounce of either your Blanc, if you have it, or just a dry vermouth. Now our gin, doing significantly less work in this cocktail than it does in your typical Negroni, we are just going to toss in 1/2 ounce. Now I believe the recipe calls for Tanqueray. I didn't happen to have any Tanqueray, and honestly when it comes to gins, as you would see in the gin tasting that I will probably never release because it did not go particularly well, I'm more of a Bombay Sapphire guy anyway. And again, I think that gin, I'm not sure you're going to be tasting much in the way of gin in this particular cup. Okay, next up is our aforementioned Cynar that I definitely didn't have to open off screen because the cap got stuck. And we are just going to toss in 1/4 ounce. What a heavy quarter, but that's fine. And finally, everybody's favorite, 1/4 ounce of our Fernet Branca. And we're just going to do 1/4 ounce of that as well. And finally, we're just going to toss in 2 dashes of our orange bitters, or as I usually do 3. Alright, all we got to do now is get some ice in our mixing glass and mix this thing up. Okay, so now we got some ice in our mixing glass. Go ahead and mix that thing up. As always with a mixed cocktail, just put your finger down here along the bottom. You can kind of feel the temperature of your drink. Once you feel like you've got the proper cooling, we're going to go ahead and double strain that. It actually calls for a chilled coupe glass, but I kind of like these new little martini glasses I've got, so I'm going to put it in there. Now, there isn't any fruit in here, or fruit juices, but I'm going to go ahead and double strain it anyway, just because I like a nice, kind of clear cocktail. And that is going to fit in there just right. To finish it off, we are just going to give it a little orange twist. Go and express that over the glass. Rub it on the rim. And you have the Eeyore's Requiem. Let's see what we think of it. Okay, it's a big flavor. I'm not gonna lie about that. I like it. This is not something that I would probably have more than one of at a sitting. God, where to start with this thing? We've done a few cocktails recently where I said, well, it's kind of a light cocktail. This is not a light cocktail. This has, so I think the Fernet is probably what hits you first. There's the least amount of Fernet in there, which is kind of interesting. I mean, obviously Campari is front and center, but as far as like kind of a flavor that just kind of pops, I'm getting that Fernet. For me, Fernet comes off as kind of like a cola kind of flavor. It's very, very bitter. Very, very bitter. I don't know that it matters what gin you put in this, or in fact, if you put any gin in this at all. I'm sure the gin cuts the bitterness just a tiny bit. It's a real nice evolution. Again, you get that kind of cola. The bitterness is hanging in there, but I feel like it's not unpleasant. Now, if you have somebody that is sensitive to bitter liqueurs, this is not their drink. They will not be happy with this. They will not thank you for this. If you know somebody that is into bitter cocktails, I think this will be a nice little surprise for them because it has a little bit of an evolution. Again, the bitterness is obviously, it's there front and center. It's there around the edges of the palate. I'm getting the, again, kind of the cola-y notes from the Fernet, the Campari elements of Campari, because again, there's an ounce and a half of that in there. I don't find it to be overpowering though. It's actually quite pleasant in a lot of ways. I think the first sip is going to hit you pretty hard from a flavor perspective. Again, this does have a lot of liquor in it. Most of these liqueurs, I mean, I'm using Cynar 70, which is a little bit higher proof. I can't remember, Campari is going to be 24%, and the Fernet I think is probably about the same, if I remember correctly. Or, I'm sorry, 39%. So the Fernet's a little bit higher alcohol content. But this isn't like a this isn't like an old fashioned or a martini. This isn't amazingly high in alcohol content. Flavors though will get you. They will very, 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 very big. Yeah, overall I like that one. I think you really have to be careful who you give this to. It has to be somebody that is ready for a bitter, bitter cocktail. But one that is not without nuance. Again, there are a lot of flavors going on. It is complex. There's kind of a ride. So yeah, overall I like that. I think that's a really interesting cocktail. Yeah, try it at home. Again, you can even sub out different Amaros if you want. We're actually going to do something in a month or two where we do something kind of similar to that. And so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I like it. And on that bombshell, I want to thank everybody for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a good drink. Have a good day. Please cut that out.